So the award for the most unintentionally hilarious political statement of the week goes once again to Joe Biden.
Mr. President, ahead of these midterms, how big of an issue is crime?
I think it's a real issue, and I think we have a great record on it.
Oh, yeah, a great record. In 1 year, major crime is up over 30% in New York, almost 40% in Chicago, nearly 25% Philadelphia, up everywhere, basically, as a direct result of the Democrats' far-left pro-crime policies, letting violent criminals out of jail and defunding and demoralizing the police. Increasingly, the crime and chaos on the streets is connected to the rampant homelessness we're seeing, as I saw for myself for a documentary we made for the Daily California. The whole thing is so utterly depressing because it's so terrible for these people who clearly need help.
So this is the world's famous gold gym, and sometimes if you're working out at the gym, you can smell the fumes coming. There's people running generators here. There's people
I just heard
cooking.
the noise of the generator.
Yeah. And so that's one of the downfalls. You can see right here that it's really pushed up against the business. Most businesses in Venice struggle with this. And there's fires, there's fights. We just passed a location where on Wednesday night there was a double shooting, and that was likely over drugs. It was a dispute. But there is an incredible amount of violence because what we have are a bunch of people who are suffering from mental illness and drug addiction, and we're just leaving them on the streets where they just continue to suffer and to use drugs.
Joining us now, Republican candidate for California Attorney General Nathan Hochman. Nathan, great to see you. This crime issue, this explosion of crime and chaos and disorder, it's really having an impact in these elections. We saw Lee Zeldin earlier in New York making great progress against Kathy Hochul. You're making great progress in California against the incumbent Rob Bonta.
Yes, we are making great progress against him because he is single-handedly responsible for what I've called the spiral of lawlessness in California. Because it starts with one person going in a small business, stealing just under $950 and walking, not running out, because they know they won't be prosecuted. That then leads to 3 people running out of a CVS, 10 people running out of a Walgreens, 80 people running out of a Nordstrom's, 100 people recently in a flash mob in an LA 7-Eleven. Smash and grab robberies follow home robberies, a double-digit rise in homicide. I mean, LA had its 15-year high of homicides this past summer. So that spiral of lawlessness has been perpetrated, promoted, fostered by the current Attorney General, Rob Bonta, who's enacted the most pro-criminal agenda in California history. But it's not a shock since he had 0 years of law enforcement experience before he took the job as chief law enforcement officer. And I have 30 years of law enforcement experience as a federal prosecutor and a U.S. Assistant Attorney General.
And the thing about this race that I think people need to really be aware of is that actually, while often we rightly focus on the DAs in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco and so on, the state attorney general has real power to actually start to turn the tide against these pro-crime, pro-criminal policies, even at the city level.
100%. Under the California Constitution, the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer of the state. That means he can come in. Actually, he has the obligation to come into any county where a DA is not doing their job, and he can't fire the DA, but he can take over each and every case. I would have 4,000 lawyers in the California Department of Justice, and I have vowed to go into Los Angeles, for example, and if George Gascon refuses to do his job, I'll come into LA and replace him on every case in which he refuses come January 3rd when I take power.
And quickly, Nathan, what did you make of this appalling racism scandal at LA City Council and Rob Bonta, your opponent's involvement in that?
So Rob Bonta launched an investigation into the redistricting issue, which was sort of at the heart of the racism. But I asked myself, why did Kevin De Leon, one of the 3 city councilmen, not resign and not fear Rob Bonta's investigation? Then some investigation turned up the answer. Kevin De Leon, one of those 3 councilmen, gave Rob Bonta and his wife $4,500 of political contributions. $4,500. It was not revealed by Rob Bonta, not disclosed by him. The money was not returned by him. He has a raging conflict of interest, so much so that he's not going to prosecute Kevin DeLeon, and Kevin DeLeon is not worried about being prosecuted with Rob Bonta because Rob Bonta is bought and paid for by Kevin DeLeon.
Well, this is exactly the kind of cronyism and corruption you get when you have this kind of one-party rule that we've had here in California. But you are one of the best bets this year for ending that one-party rule and getting some common sense in there. So, Nathan Hochman, great to see you tonight. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right. To see the whole of that documentary, by the way, about homelessness, you can go to stevehiltonsrebelbase.com and sign up for our email. Stay with us. Much more up ahead.